What's up, Star Wars fans? Today I got a review of episode 14 of The Bad Batch for you. As was mentioned in my preview and predictions video, this episode was titled War Mantle, and it's just so cool to see exactly how the Empire was going about replacing the clone troopers with stormtroopers. More on that later, but let's start with the beginning of the episode, where we see a clone unsuccessfully trying to defect from the Empire. Then the Bad Batch get a very quick and interrupted message from Rex, asking the Bad Batch to rescue CC-557639, also known as Gregor. And although this is just a quick moment, it's a major moment during this episode, because it confirms some of our speculation that Rex is indeed seeking out clones and helping them defect from the Empire. It also means that, like Hauser in episode 12, it would seem that the effects of Order 66 are wearing off on many other clones, and they're regaining their autonomy, the ability to think for themselves. And like Gregor in this episode, they're trying to defect from the Empire. So that all said, back to the story. After the Bad Batch received the message from Rex, there is some debate as to whether or not they should rescue Gregor. Now, Echo, having been in a situation, a clone that needed to be rescued by the Bad Batch, he is a strong voice throughout this episode, advocating that they need to go through with this rescue. And that's exactly what they do. They end up finding the distress signal on the planet, and then Hunter is able to track down a secret Imperial base. Tech, Hunter, and Echo all infiltrate the base, and as you'd expect from this group, they're able to track down and free Gregor. And it's definitely cool to see this happening because it's something that we speculated that we would see happen when the Bad Batch was first announced, since we see Rex, Gregor, and Wolf all in Star Wars Rebels years after the events of the Bad Batch. But getting back to the story again, it seems like everything is going smoothly until Tech tries to input clone codes into the computer in hopes of causing a distraction and helping them escape. Little does he know, however, that those codes have now been phased out and replaced with Imperial ones, very similar to how the clone troopers are being replaced by these stormtroopers. And so as Tech entered those old codes, he set off an alarm and the chase is on. The new stormtroopers, as well as clone commandos, of course are trying to prevent the escape of Gregor in the Bad Batch, and it's at this point that we have a really cool callback to the Clone Wars. We see a clone commando that, unlike the others, actually has yellow markings on his armor, and as far as I can tell, everything points towards that clone commando being Scorch from the Clone Wars series. It's interesting that Scorch doesn't have any voice lines, he's just there as another clone commando, but it's a really cool detail that folks like us who have invested the time in watching the Clone Wars will really enjoy. It'll be really interesting to see if he plays a role in episode 15, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. If we get back to the main story, the Bad Batch are able to rescue Gregor and get off the planet, but unfortunately Hunter is left behind. And this is where I think Scorch could come in next week. He could be the one to help get Hunter off the planet. Of course, Scorch is going to have to find some way to elude Crosshair himself, who shows up at the end of the episode to see Hunter. Now, in our community predictions video earlier this week, we had speculated that Crosshair would defect from the Empire. So could this episode be setting that up? Well, why don't you check out that community predictions video? I'll have it linked in the cards here. As always, I'm Mike. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.